Welcome to another episode of Spotlight with Ivy. On this season, like I mentioned from the first episode, we are doing beacons and we're talking to women doing amazing things in their field. On today's episode, Dr. Funmi Adeniyi will be with us. Stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. Again, I mentioned that we have with us Dr. Funmi Adeniyi. She's the founder of Lux Dental. Welcome, Dr. Funmi Adeniyi.
Thank you very much, Ibuko.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Great to have you here with us.
Same here. Good to have you.
So we'd like to start with icebreakers. Okay. And so I just want to ask you a couple of questions to break the ice and get to know you more.
Okay.
Passenger or driver?
Passenger. Never passenger.
You don't like driving in Lagos?
I don't like driving
at all.
I drive because I have to.
Not because you want to?
No, I do not want to ever. Never.
Okay, Facebook or Instagram?
Instagram. Facebook is 1990. Instagram.
Okay, so thank you for coming on. Just to get to know you better.
Okay.
You are the founder of Lux Dental. That's a dental clinic, not an eye clinic. Meaning that you are a dentist. How did you become a dentist? What was that journey in making that decision to become a dentist?
Okay, growing up, I'd always said I would either be a doctor or a lawyer. Those were the two options that were available to me because I was very argumentative as a child, and yet I was very empathetic. I was very into my feelings, and I could just feel other people's pain. So those were the two options available to me. As I got to the senior secondary class, everybody decided that, oh, you're too smart, stay in the sciences. And so I stayed there. And I remember I finished school, and then I had a year to just somehow there was just a year that I was
bored.
Yes, I was around and I had some lessons. I was learning different things, and my aunt was ill that year, and then she was admitted on the wards in the hospital. Prior to that, my experience of doctors were going into consultants' offices. We sit down on couches like this. They used to offer us tea. When you go here, you say,
sorry, which doctor is this one?
Consultants in Luth then.
Okay, they used to give people tea.
Yes, they used to offer me tea.
Before.
my doctor then was Dr. Rena, and they'll offer you tea and all. So that was the concept I had of doctors. And then my aunt was admitted, and doctors will run 48-hour shifts, like they're on the wards for 2 days straight. And I'm like, no, this is not the kind of water. It's not what I'm drinking tea and all. And so I was like, okay. My mother had always taken me for my dental visits, and so that was the next option in my mind. And I said, okay, you know what, I want to be a dentist. And I remember at that point, okay, I think I'd gotten into diploma at this point, a diploma in college of in Unilag. And so my mother said no, that it was because I was afraid that I wanted to shift to dentistry. And I was like, it's almost the same thing. So she made me go.
What do you mean it's almost the same? But it wasn't that you were afraid actually.
No, she thought I was afraid of the fact that I won't be able to make it into medicine.
Oh,
and so
okay.
I was picking
a
lesser evil. And I'm like, no, that's not it. So she made me go to interview dentists. I went around College of Medicine, University of Lagos, going to ask dentists what's dentistry about. I asked students what's the thing about, and then I came with a 4-page essay.
Wow.
She still has the essay now. And so when I give some points, she'll say that's absolute rubbish. You're going to go back to get more information. So I did that until I knew what I was getting into.
What did you think at the time when she was making you do that? Like,
I was just like, this woman's problem is too much. Like, who does this? Like, who gets a child to go interview other people? But looking back now, it was a very healthy thing. So it was really good.
And those people accommodated your questions.
Oh yes. It was to them. It
was
interesting that a young girl dentists do that.
But did they ask you why you were doing it?
Oh yes, I said I wanted to study dentistry.
Did you tell your mom told you to, or that you wanted to study dentistry?
I probably didn't do it. My mom told me. So I just said, oh, I wanted to know what it was about. Like I wanted to tour this part, and I wanted to know what it was about. And so that was it. And then I remember that at a point, what even made me decide on dentistry was, apart from the fact that I'd seen doctors on the wards and I said I didn't want this, I remember that I had been learning about hearing God's voice. And then I remember one day in a room, I just got with my Bible and I said, Lord, please show me what you want me to do, what course you want me to do. And then I slept off. And in the dream, I was acting like a policeman around the dental block because I was conversant with the area. My mother is a pharmacist, and so she worked around that area, and I always used to go for my dental appointments. So in the dream, I was a policewoman around the dental block, and I was manning the place. So that was actually where the seed of dentistry came in when I decided I didn't want to do medicine. So yeah, that's how.
But did you try to interpret that dream? Because if you interpret it literally, that means that, oh, I'm supposed to be a policewoman. You know that kind of thing.
Well, when I woke up, for me it was, oh, you're supposed to be doing dentistry, not medicine.
Well, so the meaning of it came.
That was what
clear.
It came to me. Yes, that's what came to me.
Okay,
so I just
like when you woke up or in the dream.
When I woke up,
the meaning came with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that I was supposed to be doing dentistry.
Okay.
Not the policewoman, but I was supposed to be doing dentistry, and that I'll probably be an important figure in that field, and so that's what I got in my.
So did you tell your mom about this dream though?
No, I didn't.
You didn't tell her?
I didn't tell her.
So at what point did she finally agree that okay, it was okay for you to?
When I went through when I showed her my research, and then she was happy with everything, she was comfortable with the information that I knew what I was getting into. She was like, okay. And so before my results were even out, she had to go speak with the vice chancellor to ask to move me to dentistry. So to move me from studying dentistry to medicine to dentistry. And
okay, you had already applied.
I'd already applied for medicine. Yes, I'd already applied for medicine, and so that was how it happened.
Okay, so the journey in actually studying dentistry, because the truth is, everybody knows that studying medicine, any kind of medicine anyway, is not an easy thing to do. And even doing it in Nigeria, it's not even an easy thing to do. Was it easy? Did you think at any point in time that, did I make the right choice?
Oh, many times. Many times, because of study of medicine. I remember 200 level, 300 level. Gosh, you're doing what people do in 4 years in 1 year, and you're required to know them at the same rate that those other people know. It is a lot of cramming. It's a lot of just give me back my knowledge, and it's very intense. And then in dentistry, the study of dentistry as a student is more intense than even medicine, because you have a lot of targets to meet. So you're working as a doctor already, seeing patients, you have to cut so cavities. It's intense. You have to go to the lab, you have to know the medical part of it. It's just a lot.
So how were you able to navigate without having to go back to say, oh, did I dream well?
Oh no.
Did you think well?
Well, the fact that I knew that I was on the right path just kept me going. But I remember at this point when I was in 500 level, I was just like, no, I don't think I'm going to practice this dentistry. I think I'm just going to.
What happened though that made you make that decision?
It was just a lot. It was a lot for me mentally, and the whole study of it, it was just a lot. And then the options for me at that point was, oh, you either come back for residency, and I'm like, I'm never coming back here. I'm never coming back here. Or you pioneer a dental clinic, and I didn't feel like I was that good of an entrepreneur to go that path. So I was just like, I don't know. But eventually I practiced as a dentist for a while, and somehow I ended up running a dental practice. So
by the time you're not thinking of starting
no, I wasn't thinking.
What were you thinking dentistry was going to take you into?
Well, I began to delve into the healthcare management sector. That was even the topic for my final year project. So I was thinking that, oh, I'll do an MBA and go into the business of health somehow through healthcare management, or do something on the fringes. That's what I'd imagined. Yeah.
Okay, so now that you are now fully into owning, setting up, starting, would you have, looking back 5, 6, 7 years ago, would you have done anything differently?
No, I love the path I'm on. I love where I am. I love the path I'm on. Yeah.
Okay, so starting a business in Nigeria is not my. It's not beans. It's not. For those that don't know what my business is, just take it a pinch of salt. You can Google it also. But however, starting a business in Nigeria is not a very, very
not
easy
a walk
thing.
In the park.
Yes. What made you decide that you were going to even try to start a clinic?
I didn't decide so. The thing is, I had worked as a dentist with several clinics in Lagos. Then my family and I moved to Abuja. I was working as a dentist with a dentist I really liked. And then all of a sudden, my husband had to move back to Lagos. And someone had asked the lady in the church I attended that she needed she needed someone to run a dental clinic for her in a spa. And then they said, oh, okay. My name came up and she showed my picture. And I remember I went with my husband to see what the place looked like. And when I went, I said, never. This is not a dental clinic. It was a barber's chair and a sterilizing pot. I said, nah, this is not for me. But my husband kept saying he felt like I should do it. I said, what am I going to do here? I know, he was just like, I should do it. And I'm an obedient girl somewhat. So I was just like, this man, you will not carry me into the gutter. But so I started there, and a few weeks after, I just said, I can't do this. So you're either going to get me a dental chair and let's know we're going all the way doing a dental clinic and not that I'm just whitening people's teeth. And so they said, oh no, they couldn't afford a dental chair. I went to search everywhere. I found a used chair that was within the budget they said was available. And so I got the used chair. When I now got the used chair, they said they didn't like it. That okay, they're ready to do new chair. And all after
you bought the chair.
Oh, we bought the chair, we set it up. And I literally started the business like the first day.
Like, it was your discomfort that led you to making this discovery, actually.
I guess
like, you didn't
so.
like the way the place
No, I didn't
was.
like the place.
So that was a vision you had in your mind, and this was not just representing that vision at all.
Well, there's a standard of dentistry I'm used to, and I wasn't going to go below what I was used to. I think I didn't have any vision. No, I didn't have any vision. I just wasn't going to go below the standard I was used to. So I was just like, we have to have a proper dental chair. We have to have instruments. I brought in the instruments I'd always had as a student and had gathered along the years. And what they wanted was just someone who would do whitening, laser tooth whitening. And I blew it up. In a few months, I began to schedule patients for implants, for braces. We were doing Botox treatments because that's something I'd always liked, infusing both cosmetology and medicine into dentistry, so that what we say is we design your smile. So beyond just getting a feeling or extracting your teeth, you can get some treatments and all. So we already started that in that place. We set up the new chair and business was growing. And then,
but was this still a spa, or was this?
Yeah, it was still a spa.
It was still a spa. So the spa that had
I just had 2 small rooms to myself. So the ante room was the sterilization room and where you could sit to wait. And then we set up the mobile, the dental chair in the other room.
And people actually came into that place.
People were coming in from all over. And I went all out. I went on social media. I began to give health education talks. I stumbled into this thing. And then something significant was when I took this job, I was given an offer of how much do you want as a salary. And a few days ago, I just read the Jewish phenomenon, and he was saying how it's always better to take a commission. That with a commission you can determine how much you earn and you're not fixed to a salary. So I was like, you know what, I don't want a salary, I would take commission. I was living in Chevron Lekki. This office was in Alausa. The first month I made 50,000 naira. And I had 2 children. I had a nanny here. At that point I said, which trouble have I gotten myself into with 50,000? But that put a lot of fire under me, and then it made me innovative, and it made me just push, because it felt like, oh, this is my business. And that's something I like to say, that I had a safety net of running as an entrepreneur within a system where I wasn't bearing all the risks myself, and I'll always be grateful for that path that I went through. And shortly after, my partner, my CEO, calls me and says, you know what, I have a bigger space somewhere in Ikeja, and because then it was a small house in an estate, so within a gated community, business is not as full there. She says, I have property on a high street in Ikeja, and I want to move my spa there. And I just went to town. I was like, no, it won't be just a spa. All the different ideas I've had. Oh no, we're going to do this, And then she'll share her ideas with me, and I'll just blow it up. And she'll be like, how will we do it? I was like, don't worry. I went from where I was, I carried my leg.
Wait, where is all the ginger coming from?
I don't know. I sincerely, I do not know. Well, I think I've just always been if you're doing something, do it very well. I'm not someone who works for money. I do things because I'm convinced I should be doing it. So for me, I just felt like I want to make this woman's dreams come true. I think that was what it was just all about. I just really liked her, and I just said, anything that she wants, I'm going to make it happen for her. And so I get in cabs, I will go to the island. I negotiated with different companies to come on board. I negotiated with the company in Abuja to move to Lagos to join them. When they should come, she said, "What are you telling these people that they're listening to you? I'm coming." I was like, "I don't even know." I got a lawyer on the team. I got a business developer on the team. I got a HR manager on the team, and together we just did everything. She was very busy at that point in politics, and she didn't have time, so she'll just come and say, "This thing is really moving." Oh, and really, we moved in when we said we're going to move in, and business just grew. It got better and all, but along the way, because I wanted it to be a registered clinic, so I'd registered with
so you guys were not registered, or
no, we started the process. Once we got the chair, I'd registered with the Lagos State body to come and inspect, but the bureaucracy there is crazy, and so they didn't come in till January of 2020. January of 2020. And when they came in, they said, so this is where you have been disturbing us to come and sit there. Like, no. Something had happened before then where part of the space that I was entitled to had been cordoned off.
You know,
exactly. And I had 1.5. So they're like, "Hey, no, that you can't practice here. This is not a dental clinic. That you either get more space or you move out." And at that point in business, I guess our visions weren't aligned, so it was just like, okay, you know what, if it's not working, I can't give you more space. And with all that, I didn't have any bad blood or anything. I was good with it. I just knew that it was time to move, and my husband was like, "It is time to move." He literally came and carried my things. I was like, "Okay, it's time to move." And I was like, "Okay, so move where?" And I began to search for places.
Let's take you through.
Okay.
So you, first of all, you're not even planning to start a business. It seems like
I was not. You were just set up. Exactly.
I'm not this person do business, and I just want this person's dream to come true. And then you now realize that this thing ought to be a certain way. So life has actually, forced your hand in a sense, and you're not going to make another move. Did you have any nostalgic feeling? Because it's a, I like to call a business a baby, and you see it grow to an extent, and it's like, oh, I have to let it go. Did you feel any kind of way, maybe indebted to something or a process, or I wanted it to happen a certain way? Because there's a way we have ideas in our head about how things should go and how they really go, So did you feel like, oh, you were letting go of something that you started?
No.
You didn't feel that?
My life's mantra is the best is always ahead. So I just knew that, something bigger is ahead. That I was just excited for what was coming, even though there was no proof that anything was coming. But I was just excited. I was like, something bigger is coming, I'm sure. I didn't work my way into this, and this grew so well, like, I'm sure something bigger is coming. So I was just looking forward with expectancy at that point.
So no fear, just excitement.
Looking back now, I just always say that I think I was mad at that point. Like, I wasn't thinking logically. There was just something. I was high on something at that period, because I should have been afraid. I should have been worried. I should have been concerned, because somehow at that point my husband was out of work too. He was switching careers, and both of us took this huge leap. I think we're just high on something. Literally.
Okay, so you now move into a new space. How easy was it finding this new space and starting?
Finding new space. Okay, I was looking at somewhere in Bagada. I was already in talks with the landlord and all. And one day I just scroll online and I see a property, and I call the in Ikeja, and my husband just kept saying, "Funmi, you know how your life runs. You see how God has led you. You've somehow always just worked around this Ikeja axis." He kept saying, "I think you should stay within Ikeja." I was like, "No, I don't want to be seen to be in competition with who I'm living."
Yeah,
I'd rather not. Yeah, I felt like I'd rather not. I know. But then I saw this property and I went to see the place. It was a mess, a total mess when I got in. Like, it was run down. But immediately I got in, I just knew this is where I'm supposed to be. And so once I got that knowing in my heart that this is where I was going to be, all the other concerns just flew out. Like, this is it. It was a 2-bedroom, like those old style 2-bedrooms where everywhere is large. I was coming from a really tiny space. There was an option of taking a self-contained, like just a strip of room. It would have made sense to take that strip. But when they offered me, I was like, nah, I can't stay here. Like, no, it's too small. When I say I was high on something, that's it. I was high on faith, high on something. I was like, no, this 2-bedroom is it. I didn't have a dent. I didn't have anything. No, I just had my bag of instruments, literally. And I had the money to pay for 1 year of rent. That was all. So I paid for my rent.
But you had
we did not have share. We did not have anything. And then at the point I was like, okay, the rent has started running and we needed to renovate, like seriously turn the place over. My husband got his friend, an engineer, on board, and we started, and I began to pay in bits. At this point, when I had left that place, someone offered me his dental, like a makeshift dental room to see patients. So a lot of patients, I'll say, no, go back there, like I'm not there anymore, but please go back. And they'll say, no, they want to see me. And so I'll say, okay, no problem, come and see me here. And then so I made some money in that period. I was paying for renovation, but it was a lot. At a point, he just called me and said, you know what, I will handle the cost of renovation, pay me over time, pay me as it's convenient for you. I was like, wow, that's another miracle. So I knew I was on the right path. When we were done, I remember we moved in there on the 8th of March 2021. There was no dental chair, there was nothing. It was just, I remember that I was worshiping the Lord in this place I was supposed to be my office. I know, but I just knew that I was doing the right thing, and I employed a doctor. At this point, she had no clue what was going on. And then I called my mom and I showed her my numbers, like this is what I made in the past few years of running previously. And I said, can I get a loan from you? I will pay you back. She gave me a loan. The next day, we paid for a chair. They delivered the chair immediately. We didn't have an AC. That was something. And I called my husband. I said, you are going to get me an AC today. He's like, where? I just got a new job. Where am I going to get an AC from?
But why were you frustrated that day? What happened?
It was hot. It was hot.
Was it trying to...
It was hot. There was no client, but it was hot.
They were just sitting there.
Exactly. I said it was hot. And I said, you must get me an AC today. And then he says he just randomly has... he just randomly has an idea to call his uncle. And then he says that he needs to do some things. And I think what he was hoping for was to ask for a loan. And then he just mentioned that he wants to get money to get an AC. And he said, that he has one LG ACO in the house that somehow he doesn't even know, they've not set it up, that he can come and pick it up. Wow. That's how my husband left where he was, got the AC and bought it, and they installed it for me. All these little miracles just told me that you're on the right path. And so we set up just one room out of the 4 different rooms, and we began to bootstrap. We got a next chair, we got an interior decorator to do the reception. I finally got my chair, my table in my office like earlier this year. I've paid off all the loans that I took up from my mom, and it's just been a god. Every time I look at it, I laugh. Sometimes I'm driving home and I'm laughing. I'm like, you literally hoodwinked me into running a business. Like, this was not the plan, but I think God just had a beautiful plan, and he just eased me into it, because I'm sure he knew that if he threw me in there, I would throw a tantrum and run away. Like, but he just gently, he nudged me until I got to where I am, and I like the path I'm on. I really do.
I like your story so far. and I like the bit, and I think one of the themes that keeps coming across the different episodes is, I like the part where you talk about your husband being a part of this process.
Oh yes.
How important is it to have a spouse, a very supportive spouse in your journey?
I think you either have a supportive spouse, or don't go with anybody, just go alone. Yeah, that's what I think it is, because I can't imagine all that I have to do. In the process, I was pregnant. When I moved into this place, I was pregnant. I had my baby a few months after. We moved in March. I had my baby in November. So it was just a wild season. But my husband was with me every step of the way. Like, I don't know how people do it, but he's been like a rock throughout this process for me.
So when it gets difficult for you, what's your process in trying to distress?
In distressing, I go to meet God. Like this week, I was so stressed. People are leaving the country. Staff turnover has been high. We're recruiting every other month. Like, it's just been wild. And then I just started singing this. God, you are I'm calling Jehovah El Pampara this week. And then I'm like, God, you have to pamper me, like I'm working too hard. I don't believe that children of God do.
So apart from being a dentist, there are other interesting parts of you. And like mentioned, she's also an author, a children's author. That's like strange. And apart from that, you're also founder of Body Pantry, which is an Adire clothing line. In addition to this, she also has a podcast called Made for More.
Yeah.
So you have like, so this is, let me just say, this is fashion, this is media, this is, yeah, media and publishing. Like, how did you give birth to those different sides of you?
I think it boils down to my work with God also, for the publishing and the podcast, where I just had an impression that host the podcast, begin to just talk about things that are going through your
Did
mind.
you ask? Sorry, who was talking?
No, I know the way God leads me. I have some years with Him, so I know the way He leads me. So when He said write a book for children, animated, He was very into the details. And then I just found an animator that agreed to work with me immediately, and you helped to edit it. And it was just, I know how He leads me, so I have a process where all I'm hearing in that season is this, and everything I'm seeing around me is corroborating this is what you're supposed to do. For the Made for More podcast, I think it was during the pandemic, and then one of my friends had started teaching people how to host podcasts in the spirit of learn anything. I just told my husband, she's teaching podcasts. The mother said, don't worry, I'll pay for it. So I joined the class. And then what am I using it for? He's like, just learn. And then in the course of learning, I began to get impressions that because I just wanted to learn for the purpose of learning. And then just start a podcast. And I didn't have any instruments. And she gave us ideas. You go into your bedroom in the middle of the night, into your closet. And then I had a really nice wardrobe where you could sit down inside, and then clothes are surrounding you, so it will give you that feel of a studio. Yeah. So I began to host podcasts, and God knows the emails I've gotten from the podcast. I've stopped for a while now because seasons. That's another thing. Understanding seasons and knowing when it's time to take a break, when it's time to start, when it's time to pause. And sometimes you still feel like, now I've been getting an impression to host a podcast, this time as a vlog, a video podcast, and he is telling me the exact things he wants me to speak about, and some of the people that he's been highlighting. And yeah, that's it. And at the end of 2021, it was just this urgency to have these 3 people on a show to talk, Made for More still. And I was like, what is all? Can I wait, sir? Can I have a few months? And he was just like, do it now. And all the circumstances around it, I just knew that even if it was for one person, that was why I had to do it. And so, yeah, I do.
Do you ever feel sometimes like maybe you come across to people as different people, so you don't want to look confused? Like, I remember, when I launched my book, by the way, my book is in the set here, in case you can't say it. When I launched my book, and, afterward, I had the urgent to go into real estate, and I remember sending podcasts and messages out to people, and so I was like, cool, just stick with the right seed. I'm like, I did not give up on it. Like, I'm just expressing.
Yeah.
And for a while, I was a bit concerned about how people perceived me, but at the point, I'm like, oh man, no, they pay my bills. So like, but do you ever feel concerned about coming across to people as something that is not easily defined, or someone that's not easily defined?
No. At the point in my walk with God, I got to a phase where almost the whole year, all I was meditating on and reading and focusing on was living for the audience of one. And that revolutionized my life, because I'm normally a person that'll be bothered about what people say or think about me. But at that point, I just lost sight of what anybody else felt or thought about me. As long as God was good with me, as long as my husband was on the same page with me, I was good to go. And then I began to listen to, Debola Dejikurome has been a blessing. She validated the multi-potentialite life, where some people are called, you have multiple potentials. It's okay to be more than one thing. You're not called to be just a daughter or just a sister or just a mother. You can be a mother, you can be a sister, you can be a CEO, you can be a friend, you can be, and that can happen in your life too, where you're an author, you are a writer, you're a publisher, you're a dancer, you're a singer. Like, you're allowed to be many things. Nobody is one thing. And I don't know where we got to the place where we said, oh no, you have to be a doctor and a doctor. No, you have multiple passions, you have multiple dreams, you have multiple desires, and you're permitted to live out everything. God is a God of, he's an artist, he's a doctor, he's an engineer, he's many things, and we're made in his image. And the earlier you become comfortable with it, the the better, the easier it will be to bless your world, really. Yeah.
So how do you identify the seasons that you need to transcend into? So in this season, I'm supposed to do this. For example, in this season, hey, we are doing spotlight. And this season, I'm doing something else. How do you identify? Okay, this is this season, and I need to focus on this now.
For me, it's what is burning on my heart, and then just looking at my life. Like I had a baby November 2021, so I knew that 2022 wouldn't be as full throttle on many things. In 2021, I published the children's book. I launched I launched the Adire collection. I was selling Adire. I was running the clinic. I was the financial secretary of an association. I was just doing a whole lot. Once I had my baby, I knew that
being a mother and
I was being a mother. I was being a wife. In 2022, I knew that I was going to focus on the clinic, on building structure, sustainability, processes, and all. And that's largely what I've done. Yes, there are things in the works, in the process to create another collection for Adire and to publish 2 other books and all. But I would say that 2022 has been it's been a softer year because I was nursing a baby. I needed to be kind to myself and to be patient with myself. I could have done a lot at the same time, but I might have burnt out. Yeah, so it's just understanding where you are, and I always want to be available to my family, whatever I'm doing. So if I'm giving a lot to Lux Dental, I have to give a lot to the home, and so it just helped to regulate all that I was.
So how do you regulate? How do you balance it all?
Wisdom. I think it's just wisdom. Wisdom, knowing what ball to hold in the hand now. Wisdom. And I always prioritize family. I prioritize my relationships.
What does priority mean, though?
They come first, and things revolve around them. So yes, I will be.
Can you give like a candid example? So in what scenario you have to go to work, you have to take them to school, or I have to settle this first before I focus on me? How would you prioritize?
For one, I don't joke with support systems. So my nanny is my support system at home. I don't joke with her. My husband is my support system. My staff at work, they also support system. My mother-in-law are my support system. So I don't joke with them. I delegate things I don't have to do. The washing machine can do the washing. the nanny can help with most of the cooking. I don't even try to be guilty about some things again. Now I want to talk about that. Can we talk about that? I don't try. I've not been to the market in years. Like I use my price pally. I call Chewara, runs the logistic company. They do my shopping for me. They say you're wasting money. I said no problem. I have peace. I don't even try. I don't try. I don't bother with some things anymore.
So just basically identifying where to channel your energy.
Yes, where to channel my energies, yeah.
And so channel it on more productive things and things that you can delegate. Yes. So the problem many times people just don't know how to delegate. Is it that they are finding some sense of importance in doing those things, or just that they want to savor the moment? Or
no, and I think people are not taught. Because one thing is, I've been to several live series with Ibuku Awoshika. I learned that from her. Where don't be guilty about not doing school runs. I never go to drop my children in the morning. I've probably gone maybe once to drop them in the morning. Pickups maybe. But I conserve my energy. They know my husband is the school runs that day. I will go for shows, but because of our routines and I just had a baby also. So I try. I won't be guilty about what I cannot do and what I've chosen not to do. Nobody's going to make me guilty about not going to the market. Nobody's going to. I'm getting a chef. That's the thing. I've been shopping. I've been checking their prices, and I'm like, hey, this is how much I need to be making in my life to be.
I like it. If there's one thing my friends know about me, if you're my friend, you know that me cooking.
I actually love to cook, but I don't the reality of where I am now, I can as well just tell you what I want.
Exactly, because the point is to eat. Like
I used to pay me when I'll cook I'll be in the kitchen for 2 hours, and in 30 minutes the food will be gone. Like, there's no sign that the food
10 minutes. 10 minutes. I'm not sure this is except your skill or your calling. Yeah. Like, give it to somebody. Give someone a job. Like, why do I have to be the one to do it? And it's like the way the Jews used to behave, like
Yeah.
the way they think, like it allows for productivity.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I subscribe to
Yeah.
that mentality really,
Yeah.
and not guilt tripping myself because I cannot do something.
Yeah.
Or and I think it's even identifying and being and celebrating the things that you do.
Yeah.
Like look at you now, you are doing a lot. And and sometimes can just be guilt reading with the things that you're not doing. And it's like that focus is on the wrong thing instead of all the right things that you're doing. How do you keep your mind focused on all the good things and not and neglect those things that seemingly, like you're not making those things happen?
Well, I just choose what's important to me in this season. What's important to me. There's some things I'll never outsource. Parenting, I will never outsource that. I will never outsource making the important decisions at work. I won't outsource that because I've tried it a few times and I saw how it turned out, and I see that no, it didn't work. So maybe later when I can outsource to a CEO, then we'll get there. But for now, I'm still working on both, and also just choosing what is. I will never outsource being a wife. That's my nobody can wife me for me. Exactly. Yeah. So I just choose what is important in this season and focus on that really. And the fact that I'm raising 3 children also dictates what I can do. Like this week, I had several invitations to some meetings at the consulate, and I'm like, no, I need to be at home. And everybody's like, let's go. I'm like, I'm not going. I don't have this. There's no space in my life for that. So there are many great things that I can be doing, much more greater things that I can be doing, but I've chosen to put them down because I'm prioritizing being at home with the kids and being a wife. And yeah, really
amazing. Last words for somebody like you, has many gifts, many callings, probably doesn't even know where to start or how to even better express them. What would you tell the person?
I'd say be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself, give yourself time, because this has happened over a long time. There was a time where I was just a confused ball and I was just wondering, what am I supposed to be doing? Am I in the right path and all? But give yourself time. Expose yourself to people who are doing what you see yourself doing in the future. So learn from them, gain wisdom from them. Once I hear Ibuku Awoshika is somewhere, I don't joke with it, I'll go. If she's online, I will listen to what she's saying. If DDK is speaking, I'm listening to her. I'm subscribing to her coaching sessions. It was DDK that taught me how to manage nannies. There was a time I was having issues with nannies and just sitting with her for about an hour one day. She was just telling me how she interacts with her nannies, and I just knew that I need to change this. I need to stop that. I need to tweak this. Oh, she's very kind to her nannies. She's very kind to them. It doesn't work for everybody. Some nannies will throw your kindness back at you, but it works. It works. She's being kind, being patient, being a person of routines. I never used to do that. Now I set timetable for everybody. You know what you're supposed to be doing. Timetable for feeding, timetable, schedules, all those things, they help. I learned all that from DDK and Joyce Awoshika. She's a very structured person. So expose yourself to people who you see that are doing what you can be doing, and you learn a lot of wisdom from them. Really read books, listen to podcasts, watch vlogs, develop yourself constantly. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was an amazing time with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone for watching today. I'm sure you heard and learned a lot from Dr. Funmi Adeniyi. Until next time, bye-bye.